So hi, everybody. Laurie, can you hear me? Okay, super. So Andre, I guess we're ready.
Yes, we are.
Okay. So hi, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. So today marks the start of our webinar series on HR indicators. So over the next few months, we'll be holding several webinars on different areas of HR indicators. So this webinar will be a little bit different from our usual one because our aim is to answer your questions. So over the next few weeks, we'll be posting several indicator lists on our blog. So these lists are the source of the webinars we'll be holding. So I invite you to visit our blog, take a look on the list, and prepare your questions so we can be ready for the next webinar we'll be holding. So in the next hour, we'll be discussing demographic and organizational structure indicators. We've highlighted a few indicators we find interesting, but the aim is to answer your questions. So that way you will be in charge of how long our activity will last. So here's the plan for the upcoming hours. So first of all, our colleague and I will introduce ourselves. Then we'll do a quick stop on the upcoming activities. We'll talk about the HR indicators, of course, and then we will answer all of your questions on demographic and structural indicators. So who we are. So we are Cara HR. So if you came to our last webinar, you probably heard of Cara HR by the people of Syntel. So today I'm glad to say that we spread our wings and we are learning to fly. So we are officially Cara HR. And what does that mean? It means that we are 9% fully dedicated to people analytics. So in our team, we have developers, we have the data architect, data scientists, and of course, experts in people analytics. So our mission is to help you with your people analytic initiative. We can help you by giving you training, by giving you coaching. We also have a data analysis services to make sure uh, that you use good data to do your analysis. We also have a survey solution, so you can cross-check active data from your employee with passive data you have in your HR system. And we also have a people analytics solution that helps you creating a dashboard, having matrix, analyze situations and trends, and of course, using predictive models. You can see on the left some of our clients, some of our customers who are using our people analytics solution. And as usual, I'm here with the one and only André Laforge. So we have been working together for the last 9 years. She's very passionate about business, people intelligence, and KPIs, and of course, human capital. She also holds a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering, and she has an MBA from the Laval University. She is very involved in several people analytics projects and small, medium enterprise organization and large organization. She's a frequent with guest speakers and lecturer, as well as the author of several articles and publications on the subject of people analytics. Sorry about that. And she was also named one of the top 50 HR analytic influencers in the world in 2018. Sorry about that. So when it comes to HR data, indicators, HR dashboard, and people analytics, she's our expert. So thank you, Andre, for being here with us today. And as for me, I'm Amy. So my name is Amy Ruel, and I'm a people analytics advisor. So what does that mean? It means that I have been helping organizations with their people analytics initiative for the last 9 years. So I'm here to help organizations at the beginning of their people analytics projects. So they can position themselves on our maturity model and then determine what would be the next step for them. And I am also passionate about HR benchmarking to help organizations to position the HR performance on the market and prioritize their next action. So, okay, what are the upcoming activities? So, before the end of the week, you will receive a link to answer a satisfaction survey. So we invite you to all we invite you all to respond it. Um, Not only does it help us to improve ourselves, but it also helps us to determine what topic will. Sorry, I'm going to close. Can you hear me? Okay. Not sure if it works.
On t'entend, Amy.
Okay. Okay, so the satisfaction survey. So we invite you all to respond because it helps us to improve ourselves, but it also helps us to determine what topics we should cover in the next future webinars. So not only you will receive the link to the recording and the presentation next week. So there's no need to take notes or screenshot today. And then our next webinar will be held on June 3rd, and we'll focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion indicators. You can already register. I already put the link in the chat. So if you want to register, you can do it now. And so now, the reason you're here, the HR indicators. But first, I think it is important to make a quick stop on how to choose your HR indicators. In a minute or two, Henri will show you some pretty interesting indicators, but it might be interesting, maybe not for your organizations. So some thoughts needs to be given to the selection of the indicators you need. So here's how you should choose the right ones. So first, you need to understand the company's goals. You must be able to identify the company's overall objectives so you can align your HR KPIs with the global strategies. So your HR strategy should also flow from your business strategy. Then you need to consult with stakeholders. So here there are various players you should involve in your organization. So you can involve your top management, HR manager, and your manager may have a specific needs. So you need to involve them in your project, and even employee can help you to identify some specific needs. Then you need to identify the key HR processes that will directly contribute to the achievement of the organizational objectives you have identified in the previous step. So is it recruiting? Is it training, coaching? So you need to know the way that your HR team can contribute to reaching these objectives. Then the fourth step, you must establish clear, measurable performance criteria for each HR process. So these criteria must be aligned with your strategic objectives. So do you want to reduce your voluntary turnover rate below 17%? Do you want to have a higher engagement rate and maintain that rate above 82%? Do you want to reduce time to hire by 20 days? So what do you need? Once it's done, now you can select the right KPIs that you need. So these ones will be directly aligned to the HR processes you have identified in the step 4. So here you will choose the specific indicator that measure the objectives you have identified. Once your KPIs are chosen, you need to make sure that you have access to the data you need. So if your data is not accessible, or if it is hard to get data, it can make your KPIs ineffective. So here's what you can do. You can reassess the relevance of the indicators. You can also modify the indicators you have chosen, or you can consider modifying to make it more realistic. Can you invest in a data collection infrastructure? Or maybe you can replace it with another one. In this 7th step, so establish performance threshold. So now you need to know when performance is satisfactory or when corrective action is required. In 8, regularly check the relevance of KPIs over time. So organizational needs evolve. So of course, your KPIs needs to be adjusted accordingly. 9, inform your team about the new KPIs. So you need to explain their importance and ensure that your people and the people involved understand how their action contribute to the results measured. Then implement progressively. So here, like we always say, start small. So to to allow for smooth adaptation and to identify any potential problems. So you don't need to have 50 indicators. You will not be able to track them all. So start small, start with 5 KPIs. And once you've mastered them, add more. And finally, analyze indicators and adjust if necessary. So this involves a regular monitoring of your KPIs and the KPI results and taking action based on the analysis you've done. So ongoing analysis allow us to detect trends, deviation, or significant change in the data. So if your results are not in line with expectation, or if they indicate opportunities for improvement, adjustment can be made to the strategies, processes, and even the indicators themselves. So André, I'm gonna let you now.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm at the beginning. Sorry about that. So you see it, Amy? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Span of control.
Okay, so let's start. Okay. In today's world of work, with remote work, evolving employee expectation, and also with the digital transformation, we see that our managers are under increasing pressure. So the span of control is a useful KPI to assess whether your management team is the right size. So why this KPI matter? It helps you evaluate both organizational cost and management structure. You can also use it when trying to optimize productivity and efficiency. So if you have a high span of control, meaning one manager oversees too many employees, it can lead to challenges. Manager may struggle to support, guide, and coach their team properly. On the other hand, if you have a low span of control, meaning with too few employees per manager, it can lead to a top-heavy structure, which may reduce productivity and increase cost. So the span of control is easy to calculate. Okay. So now, using the span of control, I want to talk to you about the Hourglass organization. The Hourglass organization is a structural model designed to combine operational efficiency, chain of command clarity, and decision-making agility. If I can describe you what is the Hourglass organization, it has a broad top. Several senior managers are responsible for different sectors. You have a narrow center, few management level, okay, and you have a broad base where you have a large number of operational employees. What are the key benefits of this type of organization? It's a greater productivity thanks to fewer middle manager, frontline teams better supervise and a closer look to action, and senior manager more involved in strategic operational decision. The Hourglass organization if we can describe it a little bit more, is, and this is guideline, it's not, you need to adapt that to your organization. If you have only 3 level, hierarchical level, you need to change that. But however, the recommended span of control by level is at VP level, usually they have 8 to 10 direct reports. Senior director, 6 to 8. And that's where you get into the narrow middle, the narrow center. Director usually have 3 to 6 direct report, managers 7 to 8. And when we talk about supervisor and team leader, we are around 8 to 14 employees. So what's a good span of control? According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, the magic number is 9.9. So we can say 10. So 10 people would be the magic number. However, it varies by industry. So you have, if you are in a very complex industry, you may have a span of control of 5. And if you are in something easier, like manufacturing, but where you manufacture always the same thing, you can have a span of control of 16. So it varies from 5 to 16. So that's the first KPI I wanted to talk to you. Now, another one that I think is really important is the percentage of inactive employee. Why is this important? We're seeing a rise in mental health related disability across many organizations. Work-life balance is becoming a top priority for employees and also for employers. There is a growing attention to well-being and prevention in the workplace. And finally, there is more transparency around HR data, including absences and leave trends. So by tracking this KPI, HR can monitor pressure points in the organization, identify where additional support or prevention measure may be needed, and a better plan workforce capacity and replacement needs. What is an inactive employee? Okay, you should have, and it's important to have clear definition of what is an inactive employee. Usually, when you calculate your head count, you have the total of active employee plus inactive employee. Okay, when you calculate your head count, you should have both. An inactive employee is someone who still has an employment relationship with the organization, but is temporarily unavailable to work. So this may include employees on short or long-term disability, people on parental leave, work accident leave, or other types of authorized unpaid leave. Why you should track it? This KPI is easy to calculate. It's simply the number of inactive employees divided by the total number of employees. And what I said at the beginning, the total number of employees is active plus inactive. It's also important to break down the type of leave, especially to separate parental leave from disability or work accident, because the implication for workforce planning are different. Okay, so I think it's easy to calculate, and you should start following that. But what could be a benchmark, okay, to have for your inactive percentage of inactive employee? If you are in a public or para-public organization, your average percentage of inactive employee should be between 8 to 12%. If you are in the private sector and a large organization in the private sector, your average percentage of inactive employees should be more in the 5 to 8%. Finally, if you are a small private organization, Your average should be between 3 to 6%. It's important to note, okay, and I've put the note there, that these figures vary according to your culture, HR policies, average age, and sector of activity. So that's it. Do I have something else that I could? Oh yeah, okay. You should track this KPI monthly or quarterly. You don't have to track this every week. So monthly or quarterly to help you identify trends. And like I said, segmented by type of leave. Don't treat all inactivity the same. A high level of parental leave may signal a family-friendly culture. A high level of disability may indicate stress, poor working condition, or lack of prevention. A lot of unpaid leave might reflect voluntary flexibility or sometimes tension in the workplace. Always compare your number with internal, okay? Where are we now and where were we the last month or the last quarters? But you can also compare it to the benchmark I've given you. It gives you a range where you should sit. And most importantly, use this KPI as a strategic lever in conversation with your senior leadership. So if you are out of the average I'm giving you here, maybe you have a problem in your organization, and it's maybe a lever that you can use by using this KPI. Okay, now this one I like it. I like it. It's the rookie ratio. Okay, it's another important KPI to track and easy also to calculate. So what is a rookie? We could say a recruit, but I prefer rookie. It's typically an employee with less than 12 months of service in the organization. Some organization will use the 6 months of service. Okay, so it needs to be adapted to your organization. But what we see in our customer base, a rookie is 12 months of service, less than 12 months of service. This KPI is very easy to calculate. You just divide the number of rookie, people with less than 12 months service, by the total number of employees. And how you should interpret the rookie ratio is if the ratio is too low, okay, it may indicate a lack of new talent. Too low, it means that you have a fewer number of rookie, okay? So a lack of new talent, difficulty attracting candidates, or a workforce that is aging. It could also signal limited innovation in the long term. If the ratio is too high, it means that there is a high turnover, a loss of organizational knowledge, and a heavier burden on onboarding and training teams. So you're asking probably yourself, what's the ratio we should be aiming at? So I have here some benchmark for you. So let's take a look at some typical benchmark for the rookie ratio, depending on your sector. If you're a tech company or a startup, the rookie ratio should usually be between 15% and 25%. In healthcare or education, the range is lower, so around 8 to 12%. In manufacturing, it's typically between 5 and 10%. In the finance sector, a healthy rookie ratio falls between 7 to 15%. A word of caution, okay? If your rookie ratio is higher than 30%, it's a red flag. That could indicate that you have a very high turnover, that you have potential loss of organizational memory, and also probably a lot of pressure on onboarding. So all of these can impact your performance. So If you want to have a red flag, 30%. When I look at the indicator of our customer, when I see a rookie ratio near 30%, I know something is going on in the company there. Okay. So that's a benchmark that you can look at, and rookie ratio, really easy to calculate. My last one is the active generational ratio. This is a workforce metric that compares the number of employees from younger generation, so generation Y and Z, to those from older generation like generation X and the baby boomer. Of course, this ratio, this is the definition for now, but probably in 10 years, the definition will change because we won't have any baby boomer, and X generation S will probably be all in their retirement. So this matrix, the definition will change. But for now, the definition that you can use is number of Gen X, Y and Z divided by Gen X and baby boomer. Why is this ratio useful? It helps you assess generational balance within the workforce. It helps you identify potential succession planning needs. It helps you also understand how generational diversity may influence culture, collaboration, and performance. And I've put the year that we consider to be Z, Y, and X, and baby boomer, but everybody has his own definition. But usually those here are the one that we see the most, and this is the year that we use in our platform. So why track this indicator? This metric gives valuable insight into the generational makeup of your organization. Okay, so it helps you understand age distribution trend, anticipate retirement that may impact workforce planning, and adjust HR strategy accordingly. For example, in HR, we can use it to tailor training and mentoring program, support career development at different life stage, and we can also use it to encourage collaboration across generations. So it's not a benchmark, it's more to help you interpret the generational ratio of your organization. So if your ratio is equal to or below 0.8, this could signal a higher risk of retirement and the need for strong succession planning. A ratio close to 1 would indicate a balanced generational mix where younger and older employees are equally represented. However, these days, we don't see a lot of 1. We're more on the upper, the 1 point something, because the definition is going to change in the next few years. So if you have a ratio above 1.2, it reflects a younger workforce. This may bring more energy and innovation, but also it would require strong mentoring, training, and leadership development to support your long-term growth. For example, let's say your organization has 200 employees from Gen Y and Z, and 150 employees for Gen X and baby boomer. This gives you a generational ratio of 1.33. This means you have a young and dynamic workforce, which is great for innovation and fresh ideas, but it also means it's important to have experienced mentor or knowledge beacons. in place. Okay, so that's how you can interpret this KPI. And I think that was my last slide. So all the four KPI I've shared with you are really easy to calculate, easy to put in place. They don't need to be far. You don't need to update those KPI every week because those are for the longer term trend. But I think they are important for you to look at those in your organization.
Okay, so now we're gonna start the period of questions. I just open your mic, so you got all the authorization, so you can speak. You can also put your camera on, so don't be shy. And you can also ask your question in the chat if you have some. Yeah, Mia?
Hi, Emmy, and thank you. Thank you for that overview. Some new indicators that I wasn't aware of, so that was really helpful. Do you have a sample HR dashboard template that you're able to share of, say, the top 10 most widely used HR indicators?
Yes. 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 However, it tends to change if you are. It depends on your activity, sector of activity. Okay. For example, if you are in manufacturing, you always have health and safety KPI on your dashboard or some. But if you are not in the manufacturing industry and you're more in service industry, the health and safety are not that important for you. So if I can give you 10 is maybe high a little, but I can tell you that turnover is always on all dashboard. Mm-hmm. Turnover and voluntary turnover. So total turnover and voluntary turnover. We will talk about turnover probably. I think it's in our next webinar, Amy. Is that it?
No, it's going to be on EDI.
Okay, it will be on EDI. So we will talk about all the turnover and movement.
It's going to be in the next one, right after EDI.
Okay. So turnover. We have also what we see a lot is the percentage of inactive employees. Okay, because absenteeism rate is sometimes very important for some organization. However, it's more difficult to calculate. You need to have all those work time information and absence information. So it depends of what system you have in place. But the percentage of inactive employee is easy to calculate. We see also KPI on recruitment. So time to fill is a KPI we see a lot. Time to fill and also the percentage of open position in our organization. So that's two KPI we see for recruitment. We see also retention rate for new employees. That's something we see a lot. So, and it's the rookie, if you want, the rookie retention rate. So you need to define what is for you a recruit or a new employee. Majority of our customer is using the 12 months and less, but we have customers that are using 6 months and less. So it depends in which sector of activity you are. What else, Amy? What else? Span of control is used, but it's more used to give a portrait of the company. So it's not calculated every month. You calculate your span of control once a year, and you are able to correlate the span of control and the turnover. Where you have a high span of control, maybe the turnover is high also. or maybe you have a lot of absenteeism. So you are able to, correlate your KPI like that. So I guess that's the KPI we see the most. Of course, head count. We always see head count on the dashboard. Yeah. Amy, do you think about other one that we see on our customer dashboard?
Yeah, we always see the number of hours of training per employee. That's something that's very important in Quebec. We also see the age of employee, the average age of the employee, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for the demographic, the demographic, average age, average tenure, average salary, but I don't know, Amy, if we could put the link. I don't know, Mia, if you read our last blog. Oh, I'm in French here, in English. I'm going to put the link to our blog on ultimate list of. This will give you, and if you you go on our website in the blog section, okay, you will have. We're good in putting a list of HR indicator. We're really good at that. And we published the list of lists. I don't remember when. I think it was in 2020, where you have all the KPIs that you can have on your dashboard.
That is perfect. I'm looking at it now. That is really helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
Good.
You're welcome. André, you just talked about a rookie. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes a year. If you want to compare yourself, which information you should use?
Yeah, I would say 12 months, but I just have one customer where we had that, not an argument, but we discussed about that, and they've been using 6 months and it's more for the probation. Okay, so they have a 6-month probation, so that's why they're using the 6 months for the rookie ratio. To me, it's more a probation time frame, but that's what they're using. I've seen also net hire. A lot of company are looking at the net hire, and what it is, it's your hire less your departure. So you get your net hire, and they track that month by month to see, okay, are we in a growth mode, or are we in a decreasing mode? So they can see their net hire on the trend, and for some company it's really important, and it's important if you have a seasonal activity. You are able to see your net hire, and does it match with your seasonality, because we have times in the summer when we need to hire a lot of people. If the seasonality of your job doesn't fit with your net hire, maybe you will have a problem. Yeah.
And for that indicator, should you include your trainees and students? That's something we've been asked a lot.
Yeah. So majority of our customer, when they talk about their turnover rate, when they talk about and turnover rate is the one. They don't want to include in the turnover rate their students, their trainee, even their temporary workers. So it's for the customer, it's for you to decide what you want to include or exclude. What we say at Cara is start by including everything, because someday it will be asked, what is your total turnover, or what is the turnover of your trainee, or the turnover of your temporary, and sometimes you will need to say, okay, did we took a student and bring it into the permanent category in our organization. So it's important to include everybody. But when you report your KPI, depending to whom you report, it's important to say, okay, our turnover does not include student and trainee. Okay, so it's important that your definition is clear, but at the start, you should include everybody, but calculate both. To me, I think it's the best way. You're not missing anything that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Amy,
I
what
do
were
have other questions?
Yeah, you have another question. Yeah, what were the other question we got in French?
Should we adapt our HR policies accordingly to the generational distribution?
Of course. Of course.
Okay,
Of course.
next question.
Of course. Next question. Of course you should. Okay, so the generational ratio that I've talked about. Okay, you don't have the same HR policy if you have a high generation ratio or a lower one. Okay, and your policy should adapt to that. So it's important to know what are the generation we have in our manpower, in our employees, and how we can make them work together, and also what the policy we have to put in place, or the initiative, the HR initiative we need to put in place, to make them work together. So it's important to take that into account when you write all your HR initiative, HR policy. Yeah.
Okay, and you just talked about the active generation ratio, and can this metric really predict the intergenerational conflicts? Sorry.
Can it predict it? No, but it can prevent it. So if you have a very mature workforce, I don't say old, mature workforce, okay, so you have a ratio below 1, and of course, if you have a ratio below 1, it means that your workforce is going to change in the future, because people are not eternal. So you will need to hire new person. So that's where you have an older workforce and you integrate a younger one, a younger person. It's not easy usually, depending of the type of business you are in, depending of the type of workers you have. So it's really important to look at this. It will help you with your onboarding and also mentoring. So you don't need to calculate this KPI like I said, every week or even every month, because it's not going to change from month to month. But it's really important to have the information, and then you know that if I have a 0.8 generational ratio right now, I'm in difficulty. I have problem, because succession planning, onboarding of new employees, all that stuff will be very complicated. So, of course, we want to stay near the 1, but it's not possible. It depends on. It's not possible. You should aim, but you're not going. You're not going to hire only young people, because you have you hire on talent and not on age. So, it's something you need to take care.
Okay. And while we talk about generation, when should we start worrying about the number of employees eligible for retirement?
Well, it depends. I wouldn't say the number of employees. I would say the percentage of employees. So I would say 10% of people eligible for retirement, you should have in place succession planning in your organization. So if you have a 10% percentage of people eligible for retirement, meaning, and in your organization, what is retirement age? Is it 65? Is it older than that? So you need to calculate your average age for retirement. So suppose in your organization it's 63, so you need to know how many people are near retirement, so 5 years from the average retirement age, and eligible or at retirement age near 63, and you are able then to say, okay, right now my percentage of people eligible for retirement is low, but when I look in 5 years, it's going to increase. So we need to put in place succession planning, leadership development for younger employees, all that stuff. Yeah.
So thank you.
So I guess
We
we don't have any more questions. Yeah.
Okay, so one last step before the end of the meeting. The upcoming activities. So this week you will receive a link to answer a satisfaction survey. So I invite you all to answer it because we want to get better and we want to know which are the kind of topics to have during the next webinars. And also I invite you to the next webinar. So unlock the secret of equity, diversity, and inclusion indicators on June 3rd. So you can subscribe, register already by using the link in the chat. So thank you very much for being with us today and see you on June 3rd.
Bye-bye.
Bye.